You intro.
Oh, me intro?
Yes, of course you intro.
You can't do the intro?
I never intro.
One day you'll grow up to do the intro.
Maybe.
Man, my hair looks terrible today. Where's my stylist at? Hey, can you guys give me some hairspray or something? They got a little bit of something going on the side here. I don't know what.
Oh my god, dude, Mary makes loud as shit.
It is loud. Tell them to quiet down. Hey, can we adjust the volume levels?
Actually, I'm really going to.
Can we adjust the volume? All right, let's get it going here. Let's get it going. Let's get it going. Let's bring the voice down a little bit. Let's go down an octave here. There you go. Radio voice is on. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Welcome back. Welcome to, and my co-host just sat down. Glad she finally joined me here. Degree 45 podcast. What's going on, guys? We're hanging out today. We have our guest cancel on us again. I don't know what it is about these guests these days, but people seem to have an issue with commitment. I don't know if that's something that's may have something to do with relationships in general. But anyway, we're here with our non-present co-host Cut from Cut Productions. He is in honor of his favorite subject. I replaced him with Stormy Daniels this week, so he can watch this video and see her in his place, knowing that she is the only thing that can hold his place spiritually. So anyway, we got the arena filling up right now. We got a little music in the background. We don't have any particular structure to this show today. So what we wanted to do was not cancel the stream again, because one of our co-hosts can't come. The last thing that we want to do is say, hey, you know what? Let's just cancel the stream. We did last week because I don't know. Maybe we needed a break. But yeah, it's
not a 2-week break.
We can't do 2 weeks. That's too much. I don't know about you, but I feel kind of guilty when I don't go to work. I can't even call into my real job. I can't even call into my real job because I feel guilty. I'm at home. I feel like I let the team down. I don't know. Maybe you feel that way too. I do.
You guys are like my only friends during the week that I get to discuss politics with. At least you showed up, Jeremy. I'm ready.
Well, we got an interesting question on the Facebook page. I do want to get to that. I think another thing that we should talk about that's interesting, that I'm going to go into a lot more depth on, probably on my personal stream tomorrow, is the Anthony Bourdain suicide. And who was the designer chick?
Kate Spade.
Kate Spade. You know a lot more about her, I'm sure, than I do. But the topic of suicide itself is kind of rearing its ugly head back in society, as if school shootings and gun control and illegal immigration and all this other highly emotional, politicized garbage wasn't floating around already. We
fits
have
right in.
More stuff that we can deal with. Yeah. Tara, what's going on? I see you over in chat. What do you think of Stormy Daniels? Let's get Stormy's take on the suicide situation here. Stormy, what do you have to say about this?
Her mouth's kind of full at the moment.
Wow. That's inappropriate. This is a G-rated stream. Why would you do that? Now we're gonna get demonetized by YouTube. Any guys come in and grab a drink. We're just talking. It might be a 20-minute stream. It might be an hour-long stream. I don't know. Anthony Bourdain killed himself. The bakery in Portland called Back to Eden was under fire this week. I don't know if you guys saw that one. That is probably my top pick for most interesting story of the week, although this did happen like 2 weeks ago. But it's just starting to get circulated around mass media now. And I think, I'm going to go ahead and lead off with that one. I want to bring up, in case you guys didn't hear, this is actually a pretty big deal because it coincides with what I've seen here in California, and that is kind of the changing tides in what we're seeing with the Antifa / resistance / impeach Trump kind of movement. And I can say definitively that they're dying. They're dying in California, Antifa, but they're very alive and well in Portland and Seattle. Probably, I don't know why. I think everyone left. All the poor social justice warriors that had no jobs or money, they couldn't afford to live in San Francisco anymore, or California in general, so they moved north, you know? I think that's what happened. They kind of implanted themselves in these cities. So if you don't know, there's a bakery, a vegetarian bakery in Portland. It's called Back to Eden. One night, long ago, in a land far, far away, the bakery was closing. It was like 9 o'clock, right? Stores closed. Anyone who's worked in retail, I've worked in retail. I've been in here. I've been in this spot before. You know, someone comes in at the last second, right? What do you do? If it's a restaurant, you say, "I'm sorry, we're not serving anymore." But guess what? You can't close the door because it's against code. You can't lock like 10 people in the store, right? A black woman walks into Back to Eden Bakery. She just got dinner. Now she's a little on the larger side, so it's no surprise that she wanted to go for a little dessert. There were two white women standing in line in front of her, and there was like a handful of people already inside this bakery. I think there's 10 to 12 people already in there finishing their meals, right? Because they ordered something, they're just wrapping up, and they're gonna leave shortly. She walks in, the chick behind the counter. Two white women, of course, because that's relevant. You need to know their races. Two white women interact with her and basically say, well, yeah, it's important. You have to know the race, otherwise you can't determine exactly what happened, right? Because everything it's all intersectional now. It's all about intersectionality. You know, it could have been a different outcome if it was a black woman or a transgender, Mexican, obese, poor, illegal immigrant. You know, you never know. In this case, it was two straight white women, I believe, straight. Anyway, they told her that they weren't going to serve her because they were closed, and it was like 9:06. It was after closing time. So she walks out of the store. She walks out of the bakery. She starts recording immediately starts recording a video because, you know, of course, she got incredibly offended at the fact that they're going to serve two white girls that were in line in front of her, but they're not going to serve her. And the people that told her this were white too. So obviously, this is
there's like a convention going on after hours for white nationalists in this area.
Exactly.
So they had to get her out. Like,
she missed the flyers on the window that said white nationalist meetup spot after 9 p.m.
Don't you hate that though, Jeremy? When you like go to the register and they turn the light off right when you get there, and you're like, really? I can't.
It depends on where you're at. I mean,
but I walk away without recording myself. And
one thing that I don't do is record a video of me saying, "This is gonna be all over Facebook. I'm gonna blow up your Facebook. This is gonna be all over the place. Oh, you're gonna regret this," which is basically what she said. That's the best like sassy black woman voice that I can do right now.
I thought it was.
Yeah, okay, I appreciate it. I'm glad. I appreciate that. So that's exactly what she says. She says, "I'm gonna blow Facebook up because of this," and this right here is a great example of white supremacy. Whatever, it exploded, completely exploded. It's all over the place now. There was an article on Quillette from a guy called Andy No, who is an Asian guy in Portland that does a lot of events at the university there. He just recently hosted Sargon of Akkad, I believe, and he does a lot of other Republican events there. But essentially, he wrote about this event. She got the bakery fired those two white girls because of the reaction, the public outcry to this. And this is where the most interesting part of the story comes in, because this is where you really start to see the narrative, and you can start to see the future of where they want to take this whole idea of equity and intersectionality.
As I was going to say, it kind of is setting up a precedent for what's yet to come. It's like, this is what is expected. This is what we have to do now. You know, you saw Starbucks where it wasn't the same exact issue, but, you know, two people refused to get served, same situation. And of course, it's racism. Of course, it's turned into something larger than it genuinely is. But we live in a society that can't accept that now because we are so strung up and so hyper focused on everything has to have some horrible reasoning behind it. Somebody's always out to get, you know, the minority, and there's always a minority unless you're a white male. You know, even I'm a minority, and I don't like to claim it, but somehow I'm still a minority. It's just, I mean, I get it in retrospective history, as in now, come on, society, let's grow up and let's make some real changes. It's absurd. Like, you're gonna make a video. I mean, it's not even educational or intelligent sounding video based off of how you're, you know, making it sound, Jeremy. I haven't seen the video myself. But.
You need to watch it. Maybe we can stream it here. If I can pick it up pretty quick. But the good part is the whole. Okay, so this person, she turns out to be. Her name is Lillian Green. This is the woman who was complaining. She turned out to be an equity director, and you can imagine what that term means. And she's going to school for like equity, which is apparently a degree now. You can go to school for like equity. I don't know what exactly that means, but. I don't
think that's offered at my college, but go ahead.
No, I think you have to go to Evergreen for that. A public school teacher in Portland, who's also an equity trainer, recommended that the shop that we're talking about hire this girl who was complaining to train their employees on how to behave when dealing with minorities or black people or
lunatics
and insane people. Yeah, so you start to see this kind of like loop. This loop is created where this director of equity or equity instructor goes out, equity trainer goes out, looks for situations of inequity. You know, you have at that point you have an incentive to find and to seek out and find and create situations.
Exactly. It's not even finding, it's creating the issue.
To manufacture incidents of inequity so that you can then go in and correct that, right? Because that's the lens that you look through the entire world with now. You're an equity trainer. So I'm gonna go into this business and claim racism because there was no Splenda in my sugar cup, and I could tell that, you know, since the waiter was white, he took all the Splenda out because he thought, you know, I like Splenda because I'm black. This is how absurd. They could literally say this on the news tomorrow and everyone will believe it, but this is how absurd it is. And then I complain inequity, and then I say, hey, well, you know, you guys, clearly you're racist a little bit, but, you know, if you want, pay me. I can train your staff and your management to fix that. So, wow, what a great business model. That almost makes me want to get into the business of equity, because if I could just go around claiming that I'm a transgender, you know, I identify as a black transgender person or something like that. You know, Walmart inequity, Denny's inequity, wherever I go, there's inequity, and I could just say, hey, give me some money. It's all good. We'll fix the issue. And what I won't do is blow your business up on Facebook and YouTube and cause your business to fail and make you fire employees and all this stuff. You know, just pay me instead, and then we'll take care of it. You know what I mean? Does anybody else see a problem with this process, this whole mindset, this loop that's being created out of this? Am I the only one?
I told you earlier, I mean, it's so funny. Like, I only need 27 more cents as a female, and I won't feel, on the hour, and I won't feel as much of a victim. I mean, everybody in this society is a damn victim. And it's like, even if you feel like a victim, why not strive to be more than that? Why not bring yourself from your victimhood? Why is the blame placed on everything and everything else in the world? Because in reality, what is this social media blow up doing? Is it helping us? I mean, we seem to be on this downhill spiral, crashing, just
black hole
ahead. Yeah, I mean, it's like, so what are we really doing to help? What is social media doing to help? I mean, we can't really take that away, but can we use it in different ways? Can we not be lunatics and go in and be like, oh, they shut the you know, the cutoff line was in front of me. They probably already locked up the coffee machine. Was it? I'm confused. Were we in a bakery? Sorry.
The bakery.
They turned the oven off. You know, whatever. Oven's off. But this bitch really thinks it's because of her skin, and that's a problem.
Do you think? Here's a question. Here's a genuine question. I've wondered this, and I almost wanted to invite her on the show to talk to her and ask her this. I want to know, did the possibility ever cross your mind that they asked you to leave just because they were closing?
Just because they had shut the kitchen down.
Just because they cannot serve you any more food.
Ran out of muffins.
Does that possibility ever even cross her mind? But you know, it's kind of a fallacious question. You can't really ask that question and expect an actual response, because even if she did think that, she's not allowed to say that out loud, because then it would the whole, you know, the guy behind the curtain would come out and you would know what's going on, you know, the wizard and all that. The whole jig would be up.
It almost seems right. There's like an alternative meaning to all of this violence and chaos and all of these tragedies. I saw a video. I believe it was before I even started my own page, my personal political page. So I mean, this is years ago almost, and probably at least a year. And there was a African American man who was pulled over for something stupid, like a busted taillight, you know. But of course, there's always a scene made. So their cop cam shows him going to the car, and the man's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna reach for my wallet," and the cop's like, "Don't reach for your wallet, you know, I'll shoot," and he's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna do it," reaches anyways, even though he's told, "Hey, I'm gonna shoot." Cop shoots him, and all the while his female partner is in the front seat. "Oh, Jesus, look what they did, they shot him for no reason," starts recording after, like, the fact.
Oh, you're talking about Philando Castile.
Probably. I was kind of younger. I mean,
Philando Castile,
but less involved.
Philando Castile is a great example, but it's just one drop in the bucket. Probably, I'm gonna pull a random number out of my head. It's probably gonna be like 90 to 95%, I would say, of these, you know, these civil rights black shootings that we're seeing from the police. These police incidents, anyway. 90 to 95% of those are justified, but the way that they get spun, and the way that most of these people who are receiving this story, this information in the spun manner, the way that their minds are working in this victimhood manner, it gets amplified and regurgitated as a victimhood story. So, you know, the Philando Castile is a great example, because, like you said, the cop told him not to reach for anything at all. And that's basically rule number one when you're dealing with police. Whether you're white or black, because we've seen white people get shot for reaching as well. It's not a race thing. We've seen white people get shot. If you've seen I believe it was an exterminator. He was staying in a hotel room. He was like drunk. He was crawling on the floor of the hotel room, or on the hallway of the hotel. He was white. He was crawling towards the police, and they were pointing guns at him, telling him to, you know, stop and all this. He reaches for his pants. Stop. He reaches for his pants to pull up his pants because he's crawling on the ground, and they shot him. So it's not a race thing. You know, you listen to what the police say. But this gets spun because the chick had a camera, and because she's loud, and every interview figuratively and literally, she's loud. You know, she's getting a lot of retweets, a lot of shares on Facebook, stuff like that. Her message is loud on the internet and in social media. So you see this story being retold and amplified and retweeted and shared. Then her perspective is that he was a victim, she was a victim, and what did they get out of it? You know what happened to that family? You know how much money they got?
You know what I saw from that, though, Jeremy? What I picked up, even before I was, like I told you, I saw the video before I was too ingrained in politics. And I hope we're talking about the same one, or else people are going to be like, this girl's stupid. But she was more interested and more focused on what she was filming and wanting to get that footage than she was of, hey, maybe holding the wound, stop the bleeding, save your boyfriend, your man, whatever he is, like, save him. Yeah. Instead, she's screaming, crying, videoing him. Look, and she's saying, she's completely, I don't know the word for it, but she's conversating. She's, look at this, you know. It's not like she's her mind's blown by the tragedy, it's like, oh my gosh, this is an act that I can kind of grip onto, and that the rest of the world will grip onto as an act of injustice. And I'm going to go ahead and get this on my phone so that everybody else can see, even though some people are too stupid to realize there's cop cams. But,
yeah, it turns into it's like you're in a play or something. Like you're oh, I'm in a play now. I have to act because I want this particular outcome in my head. I can see, the cops are going to get demonized. This is wrongful. We're going to fight back or whatever. I'm going to get a settlement of money or whatever it is. It's in her head at that time. But she's in that mode. So she sees that. She's seeing what she wants in the future. She has to act a certain way to get to that point. And I just pulled up the numbers here. She got Diamond Reynolds, who live streamed the bloody aftermath of last year's police shooting of her boyfriend, Philando Castile, received $800,000 in a settlement.
Wow.
$800,000.
The whole time I'm watching that video, though, and I mean, it might be because I'm white, but I'm not thinking, hey, this is some damn social injustice. I'm thinking, plug a finger up in that wound, sister girl. Like, what are you doing? Save him. Like, help him. Or put the phone down and be with him in his last hours. What is that? Or his last minutes. Like, that's just, the videoing in itself was almost just like, it's just sad. It's like, what do you care about more? His life or what you're going to get afterwards?
Yeah, it does
Maybe
seem
that's
like
a skewed, jaded way of looking at it. And
no, it does, I see. I know what you mean. It does seem like they don't really, like, their empathy is gone. Like, what happened to their empathy for him as your boyfriend or whatever it was? Like, it's like it's just like it was a random person you didn't even know, to some degree. Also,
and even then, it's like, even if it's a person you don't know, I can barely watch. I mean, I'm a little wimp, but I can't even watch like movies with too much blood and gore because it's just too much. I'm like, save them. But I mean, like, they're the bad guy, but still save them. Like, I don't know. I just could never video cam somebody who I genuinely cared about or even didn't care about and be like, oh, look what they did. I'd be like, holy shit, how can I save you? And if I really thought that the cop did something wrong, I would be calling somebody on my phone to get a hold of them. It's just... Right.
Well,
it's a lot.
The fact that they hate cops, but they also will call cops immediately at any random random event is ironic as well. There was a video that came out. Maybe I can pull it up here. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. There's a video that came out from, guess where? Portland, of course. It was now this is interesting because the double standard is going to become very apparent very quickly. Now I'm going to tell the story, and then you're going to wonder why you haven't heard about it. And then I'm going to tell the true story. So a white guy at a food cart called a black chick the N-word and basically told her to F off. And this was all on video, and there's a bunch of witnesses, and there was a big uproar. Cops got called. He got arrested because he threw like a bottle of Gatorade at him too. And so obvious racism, right?
Yeah, that's a problem, right?
Is that racism? Calling someone an N-word, a black person an N-word, and like throwing Gatorade at him and telling him to get out of your.
In the context that you just gave me, I would consider that racism, but I'm assuming there's a backstory. And it's still maybe racism regardless of the context, but let's hear what she did in the begining. I'm sure there's something
so
based off of your introduction.
If you ask somebody on the left or a progressive what I just asked, the same exact question, is a white guy calling a black girl the N-word and throwing stuff at her and telling her to F off, is that racist? They would say absolutely yes. But guess what? I lied. I lied to you because the truth is that guy who was running the food cart was not white. He was a Muslim.
Not racist.
Arab. He was an Arab. So is this still racist? That is the question.
It depends, I guess. Like, if you want to go off of liberal logic, it depends on who's higher up in the hierarchy. Because racism is a hierarchy according to everyone. So, white male is either at the top or bottom. You told me this the other night, Jeremy. How does this?
The progressive
go,
stack?
And it goes, right. It's white male, white female. And then it just depends who's next on the scale of hierarchies, Muslim or black female. Who's higher or lower? Because then is it racism or was he just like not happy with her in the moment?
Yeah, no. In this case, that would not be racism, and that's exactly why nobody's heard about this. Nobody's heard about this. Not one single viewer. Maybe the really smart ones who are very informed have heard about this, but nobody's heard about this because it was a Arab guy. So I'm gonna put the video up here so we can all watch. Yeah, no, we can all watch together and have a great time. Let me throw up the Chrome here. Portland, there we go.
What if it was in reverse though? Like, I know that's really random to say, but what if it was? I mean, not the Muslim man throwing the drink, but the girl throwing the drink at the Muslim man.
Oh, that's a good. Still not racism because they're both minorities. All right, here we go. It's only 50 seconds.
Just because you didn't want to take coins, you're calling me out of my name. You called me a. What else do you want to call me? Now you don't have anything to say, do you? Well, I'll make sure I got you, okay?
Okay,
I'll make sure I got you. You hit me with that. If you hit me with that.
Get the fuck up from here.
Okay. You don't do that. You goddamn one stupid son of a bitch. You don't do that shit. You don't do that.
Dude, that was uncalled for. That's wrong.
Call the cops.
That's wrong.
Call the cops right now. Call the cops.
That's personal assault, right?
That is assault. Call the cops. Somebody call the cops. Call the cops.
Get the fuck out from here.
Call the cops. Call the cops right now. You see how fast they
You don't
want to
do
call
that.
the cops? They want to call the cops
do that.
immediately. No, and that chick, I bet she's probably been to some like Black Lives Matter rally where they were just chanting, you know, kill the cops or whatever, you know, pigs in a blanket, fry 'em like bacon. Isn't that so ironic? It just gives me a little smile. That irony. It's impossible to ignore.
And it's funny, Sean Meehan writes in our comments, that isn't racism, it is assault and battery, which is entirely true. Why is this being turned into, oh, it's racism? No, how about you go to the police and say he assaulted me? Yeah. On top of that, battery, he physically harmed me. Exactly. He threw a Gatorade bottle at me.
Well, that's the thing. She's going to call the cops. It's rightful to call the cops in that situation. You know, I mean, look, if it was me, if somebody throws a Gatorade bottle at me, I'm not calling the cops. I don't care. Some people might be a little more sensitive. They do have, you know, maybe they have grounds to call the police because that technically is assault, you know. Maybe it damaged her phone, so she has damages she can, you know, hold against him. But, well, her phone did drop. But anyway, the point is, you could call the cops for assault and battery, but they wouldn't. They would call the cops and say, he's a racist. That would be point number one. And then he threw a Gatorade bottle at me, and then, you know, assaulted me or whatever.
Would it be he's a racist though? Like we said, is he a racist? He's Muslim too. Like he's Muslim, so like I feel it's kind of equals out on the Lady Justice scale.
Did you hear in the
Lady
background?
Justice is sitting here holding the Muslim man in one hand and the black female in the other, and she's like,
An unstoppable force meets an immovable wall. That's a tough situation right there. But did you hear the guy in the background? He didn't yell, "That's racist." He yelled, "That's wrong. That's wrong." Not "that's racist." So even he was confused. He was like, "Wait a second. Wait. This guy's got a heavy Arab, you know, like Middle Eastern accent. He just called her an N-word, and now he's like throwing stuff at her. Is that racist? I don't know. What do I do? What do I say? It's wrong. It's wrong. That's all I can think of. It's wrong. It's wrong. And then that's it. You know, like they can't comprehend it.
If this man was white, he has no place to say anything regardless. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No. If he was
we don't know because her phone was dropped. But if he was white, who is he to say anything about the subject?
Well,
he has no validity in his statements, according to the rest of society, because he is not a victim.
Right. Well, the interesting thing is he released a video. The guy, the food cart owner, released a video to respond. It's 4 minutes long, so I don't want to play the whole thing, but I don't know. Maybe I'll follow up on that, see what he says. But anyway, do you think this guy's gonna have a food cart to go back to on Monday? And do you think a white guy would have a food cart to go back to on Monday?
Yes, but it's not for long. Maybe Monday, but I don't know about Friday.
Right. I picked the date a little too close. You know, within a month, is this guy still going to have a food cart?
No.
Really? You think so? Because he's Muslim?
No, because of the backlash, not because of anybody, like, doing something, pushing legal issues, you know, the salt
Right,
and battery.
no, I'm talking about like
But because
people
of the
people standing outside of his food cart with signs saying racist, which is exactly what they would do to a white guy. You know what I mean? And then that would eventually, like you're saying, it would shut their business down. Do you think it's
I
going
don't
to
know.
have
I
that
feel
kind
like
of
that would, like,
reaction?
invite me in. I'd be like, "Oh, fruit, right? Isn't that what he sells?" I don't know. It's like, it's definitely. I would be like, yeah. I honestly feel like he's gonna have issues with. In due time, he's gonna have issues with keeping up. I mean,
Well,
at
the point
least
is he going to have the same level of issues as a white guy would? A white guy, if he did that, would
Oh
be
God, no, he's not on the
crucified.
news. I mean, you barely heard of this. He's already not having the issues.
That's
with
what
white
I'm
guys.
saying. That's what I'm trying to get at here is the fact that this was a Muslim or an Arab guy anyway. I don't know if he's a Muslim. He's Arab. Sorry. You know, little distinction
different.
there. Little distinction there. I'm just saying if he was white. Now this brings up another interesting thing that I see a lot, and this is one of the traps that people fall into, in my opinion. This is one of the biggest traps that people fall into on social media and Facebook and mass media as well. If you paid attention to the video, you may have wondered, like I did, wait a minute, what happened to the 5 minutes leading up to this video?
Yeah, why is she getting Gatorade thrown at her? That's like,
Why-
I mean, he's pissed off. So she did something too, or he's just an angry fella.
Right. So we're missing some context here. And this is what you see. This is one of the biggest problems that I have with guys like Sean King, who love to just spread this kind of, you know, race baiting, race war propaganda type stuff. Oh, blacks are so victimized, whites are evil, police are bad. This is exactly the same kind of stuff, and I'd have to hold back my judgment if I'm going to be objective on this video, because I don't know what happened leading up to this. Was this chick being an absolute, you know, unbearable human being to this guy leading up to this? It's very possible, you know, or was he just unprovoked? Did he just start spraying her with sriracha and then throw Gatorade bottles at her? Like, why
That's
did
what I'm
this
saying.
happen?
There's obviously a backstory. So what is it? I
Right.
need to know.
Nobody will know. Well,
I don't know. I'm
you
gonna be
might
pretty
know.
pissed off
If you,
if somebody throws Gatorade at me regardless, but I probably am not acting indecent enough to get Gatorade thrown on me. So there's
right. It's you know, it's what is it? Newton's third law or second law? Third law. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. You know, you have to.
Oh, a Newton, right?
Yeah, Newton's third law. You have to do something to warrant that kind of reaction, right? So what did she do? And the reason I bring this up is because there's so many other videos of you see, you know, a video on your Facebook of a black dude on the concrete, and then there's cops on him, like with their knees in his back, right?
But you never see
Oh
the
my
beginning.
God, look at what happened. Look at how victimized these black people are. Look at this police brutality. There was one that just was shared by Sean King yesterday, the day before, where just at a traffic stop, cops put a couple of black guys in handcuffs, and the video starts with them in handcuffs. So it's like, look at how victimized these people are. I'm so sick of seeing my black brothers in handcuffs and being mistreated by police. Where is the whole story? Like, what actually
Yeah, why are
happened
they
to lead up to this
arrested?
point? Exactly. Why are they even in handcuffs? Why is that guy on the ground? Like, do you think do you think that the black guy who's on the ground with his knees in the back had a tone like, "Oh, hello, officer. Yes. No, I apologize, officer. I'm fully
He's like, I'm
compliant.
gonna comply.
I'm fully compliant with you, officer. Yes, here are my hands. You know, my hands are up. I'm ready to comply. Just tell me what you want to do. Okay, I'm gonna get down on the ground." Do you really think that that's what they were doing, or
No.
were they?
The
Yo,
fact
man,
that
stop
he's in his
messing
backpack,
with me,
I
man.
feel
Yo,
like
get
shows
out
that
of
he's
here.
trying to fight someone off, you know, or like, and that's typically, I mean, you get, I live in South Carolina where we had the incident. His name is slipping my mind because again, I'm not new to politics, but I'm young anyways. So politics is becoming my thing, and this isn't even politics. It's just, this is an incident that was tragic where I can get on the side of holy crap, what is wrong with this officer? He shot, there's a video, he doesn't know that he was being videoed and is in South Carolina, and he chases down this African American man, guns him down in the back, and then throws his taser on the ground to make it seem like the guy and him, you know, he and the man had a struggle before he had shot him down. So just, I mean, this video just completely showed the indecency of this one particular cop. Now, we can talk about this one incident, but this isn't the incident of every African American who's detained. This isn't the incident of everybody who's pulled over on the side of the street, chased down by cops. Typically, if you're running from the cops, it's kind of like, why the hell are you running?
Yeah, no, running
but
is.
That incident, I was young and I still remember it. It was. You might know the name Jeremy, but
it doesn't ring a bell. But you bring up an interesting point, and that's that. No, what was the point that I was going to say? Basically, first of all, if there's anything that we should be doing to help these people, and this is a litmus test for you can tell whether or not they're actually genuine with their message and whether or not they actually care about Black lives, because the one thing that they don't do, that you've never seen them advocate for, you've never seen them, you know, actually go out and do and teach, is how to handle police interactions, how to actually behave with police. And it's so interesting when you talk to these people. It's like, wait a second. So I'm white, and you're telling me that when you see the cops flash their lights behind you and you're driving, your heart sinks and then you feel terrified? Oh, you think that's specifically because you're Black?
Because
No.
I feel the same way.
No. We all feel the same way. But oh no, there's a history and all this. No.
Jeremy, I wanted to point out to our viewers that Sean Meehan put the link to the incident that happened in South Carolina. So if anybody wants to take a look at that, whenever, or if you want to pull it up, I don't know how long the video is, but there's a man on another side of the fence. Obviously, the cop cannot see him filming this entire incident. I mean, you just see him gun this African American down. He's lying face first down, and he throws a taser down to make it seem like there was altercation, and it is the saddest thing, but now it's used in situations.
That's the real point I had, and I lost it. I don't know what happened, but when you cry wolf so many times with all these police officers, and you say, "Oh, look at these cops are so racist for pulling over a Black guy for no reason, and then for tasing a Black guy," the ones that are actually bad, like the ones that you're mentioning, and then like the one that we saw, I don't know if you saw it, but it was like 3 or 4 cops apprehending like some mentally ill guy. Video just came out like a week ago. They get him on the ground, and this cop, he wails, he punches this guy in the back of the head like 12, 13 times as hard as he can. That's like a mentally ill guy. He's clearly resisting a little bit, but it's definitely not warranting 15 punches to the back of the skull as the guy's
give him a little zap on the butt.
As the guy's head is actually still on the concrete. So when things like that actually come out, we're desensitized to it. It doesn't have the same impact that it should have. When we hear this, the normal person hears this, someone who's not an activist, someone who's not Black Lives Matter fanatic, we hear it and we're like, oh, another case of police brutality. Okay, all right, yes, it's lost its emotional kind of hit. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get that. It used to be a time when we see
the criminals who cried wolf. I don't know. There used to be a time when we see that and we're like, oh my God, where does this guy work? Like, let's call the police station. Let's get this guy fired. Let's get some answers. Let's talk to him. Let's go pick it outside the police station. Let's do something. Like, this is absurd, because nobody likes to see that. And that's the other thing. These Black Lives Matter people, they like to think that all of us are like cheering on the sidelines when police just brutalize people. We're like, yeah, you got him, good, dude. Like, we got beers and we're just like celebrating like it's a sport or something. And then they completely ignore the fact that it happens to white people too. We get shot, for not complying too. And then the perpetual idiocy and retardation. Sorry, I had to drop the hard R. It just keeps cycling into perpetuity, and it's never going to stop because they can't realize reality. Yeah. I mean, you said it, that we have a comment, Walter Scott. That's the name of the man who was in the video that I was speaking about. So, Yeah, I mean, you like you said, we're desensitized to it, and a lot of that I feel like has to do with society. On top of just the fact that it's not even just the police against Black people. It's just like what our minds have been exposed to via social media, via any outlet that you can. The older you get, the more you realize it too. You're desensitized to this horrible filth into filthy society that is normalized by everyone.
Yeah, what kind of filth? You're starting to sound like a religious preacher or something now.
Oh,
these adulterous filth. They will burn. Are you gonna get a sign that says God hates fags and start protesting?
No, shut up, Jeremy. No, I'm not super religious at this point in my life. So no, this is not speaking from any religious conviction.
You're talking about people cutting people's heads off and showing brutality, like YouTube videos of brutalizing dogs and cats on YouTube and stuff like that. What is that what you're talking about? We just see this crazy stuff that you would never actually see. Is that
yeah, we talked the other night, and I told you that I was it was back in the Obama days. Those were fun. But basically, I was on my Twitter feed, and I opened this video that I don't know what it is. I mean, there's a bunch of Muslim men, and then there's a man with a bag over his head. I guess I should have known what was coming, but I was too naive to really assume that this man is genuinely about to be murdered on my small phone screen, my iPhone 4, and he gets his head cut off right in front of me. And I mean, as a 16-year-old, it messes with you. But then I'm a 21-year-old now, and I'm like, well, that's kind of what's out there today. Yeah. Sucks to suck, but you start to realize how sucky it actually is. Well, and then the shit that people are complaining about, like the police brutality that doesn't even exist, it just makes it all a joke. But go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's good and bad. It's bad that we get desensitized to that, but you also, I think you should be aware that that's actually happening in this world. People are getting chopped up with machetes in South Africa, in the Middle East. White people are being hunted for sport essentially in South Africa right now. They're practically on the edge of a genocide. People aren't aware of this kind of stuff. So when you see this, I think it is good in some sense, because then you're aware that this is happening. And then your perspective, you got your perspective day to day is kind of, it's really zoomed in on you and basically whatever is in arm's length of your body and, mentally anyway, figuratively and literally. Then you see this and it's like, whoa, holy smokes. This guy over there is getting his arm cut off for being white. Maybe I don't have it so bad here. Maybe this country is great. Maybe we should try to help that guy out, or what?
Help out our law enforcement who's there to protect us instead of.
Yeah, wow. I'm grateful for the cops. I'm grateful for the cops now because they don't chop my arms off or extort me for bribes and keep me in a jail cell in Mexico for 2 months straight.
Or put bags over my head and film my head being chopped off. It's not execution style
right.
Here. I mean,
it's not
the films that you see where it's execution style. It's typically cops who are saying, gun, drop your weapon. We have a gun. We will shoot, et cetera, et cetera. You always hear the warnings in the videos, and then it's like,
of course.
Oh, he was just shot down. And it's like,
yeah. Oh, you mean he never knew what was coming?
Yeah, he didn't know as he was running away from the cops with a fully loaded gun that he was going to get shot at.
No, it was only a cell phone.
Huh?
Nothing. It was a joke. It was a Stephon Clark joke.
Oh.
He didn't have a gun. He only had a cell phone. But he still ran. He was still committing crime. Yeah, anyway. I talk about Black Lives Matter enough on my own podcast. I don't want to go into all that stuff here. They don't even
have you ever seen their page? Their, cover page for their website, Jeremy?
They're not in a while. No. What do they got down there now?
It's really inviting. It talks about how basically they're going to push their race to the front. I can't remember the exact wording, but they're all in a... They're all in a march to bring themselves to the front and to, correct the indecencies of the past. And it's like, oh, well, sorry for what I didn't do.
Here's another question I have. It's not going to get answered. It's just rhetorical. Let it bounce around your head. Let it bounce around the viewers' heads. If you guys can think about this one. When are they going to be satisfied with, quote unquote reparations. And that's another thing that I didn't talk about Portland. This bakery is hosting a reparations hour. No white people are allowed. But
what? How are we going to learn?
Minorities, actually, white people are allowed, but they don't get the free money. If you're a minority and you go, you get free money. So, you know, we're doing this kind of BS like that. We're doing affirmative action. We're doing scholarships for blacks. We're doing funds for education for black minority communities. Like all this stuff that we're doing, giving them preferential treatment. When is enough enough? Affirmative action wasn't enough. We need reparations. And then the question is, how much reparations? Do we give you money? Do we give you actual physical money? Do we give you our house? What do we?
I know that
when does it end?
A lot of people didn't like have the stomach to sit through Michelle Wolf's comedy act during the dinner. What's it called? Skipping my mind. The president. Whatever.
The press.
Yeah, everybody
whatever.
knows when I say Michelle Wolf what I'm talking about. How she talks about the Starbucks incident, and she actually makes the joke that you're making, but makes it in the opposite. Like her punchline is, "Oh, like that's gonna be enough," but she really means it. Like she really doesn't think that's gonna be enough, and it's like, well, what the hell is enough?
Right. No, it's never gonna be enough. It's never gonna
and
be enough.
She stood in front of a ton of congressmen and women, et cetera, et cetera. You know, making the joke, her punchline is that's not, basically saying that's not enough, and it's like, well,
yeah.
What do you want? Do you want some like more horse? Didn't they? You want another horse and some extra? Like, what do we need to do?
We idolize black celebrities, musicians. Most of our sports are majority black. Football is majority black. Basketball is majority black. We pay them millions of dollars to entertain us. We willingly go and see them because we like them. We have black president now. We've had affirmative action, scholarships. Let me tell you, as someone who went to college for 7 years as a white male, there's no scholarships for white males. But there are a lot of scholarships for black males and black people. A lot. 0 for whites. 1,000 for blacks. Okay, so lots of assistance, lots of preferential treatment. They get preferential treatment scores on the SAT testing because Asians and white people are apparently too smart. They have to knock us down a few points so it's a fair playing field. So they get placement into colleges that they shouldn't get placed into. So they're getting this opportunity, you know, all this stuff. It's absurd. It's stupid. It's never going to end. And the only thing that's going to stop it is if you get the root cause. And the root cause of the issue is the victimhood mentality. You know, you got to get these people out of that victimhood mentality. And that's, you know, that's essentially in a nutshell, that's what, you know, Candace Owens and Kanye are kind of doing, have been talking about anyway for the past couple weeks.
Right.
That's kind of their message. I'll let them handle it. You know, they're going to get a lot more traction on that anyway than I would. But you know, it's the right idea. It's never going to stop.
I know we've been talking about it for the past like 45 minutes to an hour. I try to stay off of the topic of race as much as possible just because I am white female. So aside from you, white male, Jeremy, I am the one who doesn't have I'm not in the position to be talking about this type of thing, and it's sad that you can't have a discussion about, like, doesn't that it almost they're putting themselves in they're casting a different light on themselves. It's like, why can't I talk about you the same way that I talk about you, Jeremy? Or them the same way I talk about you, Jeremy? Jeremy, you are a white male. Mm-hmm. But if I say you, like, I don't know what I'm allowed to say to other races as a white female. And I know my wording might be sounding silly right now because I'm in my head instead of thinking about words right now. But it's just like, right. It's just like, you can't, you have to like take into account what you're saying before you say it these days. And it's sad because it almost bars you from forming true friendships, from forming true relationships with people. Put your origami giraffe away. It's no longer, hello, my name's Jeremy. Hi, who are you? Hi, I'm Danielle. Right. It's no, oh, hi, I'm a black trans, vegan, demisexual, demogorgon from the other worlds or whatever. You know, it's all these different things that you are. It's not who you are, though. None of that is who you are. It's just groups. No. It's classifications that you fit into. It's too tough to be politically correct, so people are just like opting out now. They're just like scared to be or say anything. They just kind of go along with it because they know if they say anything, they will be attacked for it, or they'll be shut down for going against the clearly marginalized groups, the ones who are facing this oppression. How could you say they're not? Right?
Yeah, it's pretty sad, but you know, I don't know. I think it's kind of dying out, to be honest with you. That whole movement, like I said towards the beginning, and you know, I've been making videos where I go to these protests, these, you know, all these angry people gather together in huge mobs with signs, and they yell, and they chant, and they shout, and they're mad about this and that. And it's, you know, my YouTube channel's been kind of slow lately because there are no more of these events going on in San Francisco Bay Area that are noteworthy. Not anymore, you know, and it's dying down. I think people are starting to relax a little bit, and Generation Z, or the generation coming up anyway, I think they're gonna put a swift end to, well, thumbs down. No, they're gonna be good. They're gonna be good.
It's just like all the technology that came with their generation is kind of like screwed us over, I think, a little bit. But I mean, in a good,
think about
like,
it though. Think
some
about
good
it,
ways. I know you like technology. I know. I do too. I like it too.
No, I love that. No, just listen. These kids, they've been raised from age 2 or 1, whatever it is, with a cell phone in their hand, right? All the information of the world at their fingertips. They're used to showing their parents how to do this stuff. They're figuring out how to play this game, or how do I do this, or how do I do that, all on their phone. How do you sell blatantly false information, constant feed of blatantly false information to a generation that is so adapted to seeking out and finding information, finding the truth, and having access to the truth in the palm of their hand? You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to work.
Because when you Google, it's funny because they have access to the truth, but they're lazy as hell. That's the thing that came up with these Generation Z. Yeah, they had the technology, but along with that came the laziness and some qualities of some. You Google whatever, like I did the Florida Parkland shooting. When I Googled it, Florida Parkland shooting facts, or mass shooting facts, or whatever, it told me that Florida was one of 1,600 something. I mean, just stupid, ridiculous statistics of mass shootings that had occurred in the year that it occurred in. So it's people that Google and they see these top 5 response links come back and they say, oh, this is facts. CNN giving me facts.
No, I think, no, what I'm talking about is deeper than that. They see those stories and they think, well, I'm going to make sure this is right. And then they look up the information behind their version of the truth, you know, CNN's version of the truth, or whatever statistics they want to tell. They go deeper. They look up what's actually happening underneath these things. I think that's what we're going to see kind of return, the return of factual, respecting facts and respecting statistics and things that actually matter, and going beyond the story. That's the most important thing. And, you know, if I was going to wave a magic wand and make one wish to improve the situation in America overall, all around, for left, right, center, whatever political orientation you are, it's to not take anything you see at face value. Don't just read the headlines. Look into it. Do research, you know, see how they got to the conclusion that they did and whatever news story that they did. And you would quickly find that all of these narratives that they're trying to sell you are false, or don't hold up, or don't exist at all. They just simply don't exist. And then once you see that, like I said, again, the curtain falls, and then you kind of see all of the inner workings of the narrative machine that's trying to get you to believe whatever it is that they want you to believe, and then you're free. That's it. Like you're hashtag free thinker like Kanye West and Candace Owens, and you can you're like immune, because I can't read an article anymore and read a headline. I never read a headline, even regardless of how crazy it sounds. I never read a headline and I'm like, whoa, no way, dude, that's crazy. No, I have to go in the article, I read it, I see where they get their statistics, and I do a little bit of research on it, and I figure out for myself if that's true. And I think that's what these kids are going to be doing.
What about that headline that I was telling you about before we went live about the coyote who ate the woman in Massachusetts?
Yeah.
That headline?
What about it?
You'd have to, you're just talking about how you don't read headlines that are like, whoa, dude.
Well, no, I read them, but I would never like tell my friend, oh man, did you hear about the coyote in Massachusetts that ate that kid? Because I don't know anything about it. You know, I don't know what happened with it. So it's not something that I would ever tell.
You're giving people too much credit there, and not everybody's like you and I and other people who enjoy research. I feel like some people do read headlines and go, the rest of that shit's too wordy. I'm just going to go off what I say. It's kind of like me reading a menu. Like, the rest of, like, the ingredients are just too much for me to read. I go off of the thing. No, if it sounds tropical in the headline, I'm craving something tropical on the menu, I'll eat that. The rest of the stuff is fine. I'll just eat it. If I don't like it, I'll pick it off my sandwich.
Yeah, but here's the other thing, too. It goes deeper. It's a psychological thing. These kids are being raised with lower levels of parenthood, lower levels of connectivity with other human beings. It's going to be the lowest levels of empathy, lowest levels of inner connectivity with other humans. You know, they're not going to have these ability to communicate. We're already seeing this now with like the generations coming up, you know, depression, anxiety, all this stuff. Everyone's always saying they're lonely. Everyone thinks they're lonely. But when you're raised, it's kind of like Bane from The Dark Knight. You know what I mean? Like when you're raised in the darkness, you're adapted to it. These kids are raised from the start with no connections to human beings. They're connected to the internet and their communications. So the emotional drives that would lead them to believe all of these emotionally driven headlines and these emotionally driven narratives, I think they're going to be a little more immune to that than they would be normally, because they're not on the same level as us emotionally. They don't have... it could be a problem. This could turn out to be a really bad thing, because not being able to connect with human beings is a bad thing. But, you know, the high level technology integration with our lives combined with the lower levels of parenthood, nobody talks to people anymore. Nobody goes out and plays with friends in real life anymore.
You got Alexa telling kids bedtime stories.
Exactly.
That's my biggest thing. I'm like, what the hell is that?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Nobody's raising kids anymore. Electronic cell phones are raising kids now. And so that's who they're going to go to. And that's what they're going to rely on to have them. Your dad is the one that's supposed to teach you how to live life. Your dad is the one that says, come on, son, let's go out and chop some wood. I'm going to show you how to change a tire. I'm going to show you how to clean the roof, whatever it is. They don't have that anymore. They have a cell phone, and they have Google, and they have all this information, and they don't want to look like an idiot to their friends, so that when they look up a story and then someone else says, oh, that's fake news, or, you know, didn't you read the actual facts behind the story? You're an idiot. They're going to have this social reinforcement of shame when they're talking to their friends on Facebook and they say, no, that's fake or whatever. All of those factors combined, I think, and I may be wrong, but that's just my kind of, you know, imagination. I think that's actually going to be steering us away from this emotionally snap decision-driven culture that we live in today.
Wow, yeah, you said it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think, you know, the human interaction thing, Sean brings it up in chat. He says, you know, human interaction is jacked up. It's crazy, man. We're kind of, and someone said something the other day. I don't know who it was. Oh, no, it was a meme that I read online. If you're a fan of like dystopian or futuristic movies like I am, we're living in the greatest time of all time, I'm saying right now, because we have every dystopian and society in existence right now. We've got the communist dystopia over in Korea, where people are, you know, they're technological slaves. They're on the bottom rung. They're trying to eat dirt to survive. You got China, who's a super productive, super fast growing, technologically advanced, you know, I don't know. They're one. That's like their whole country has this one idea and this one kind of drive behind it. And then you've got America, we're the technologically advanced one. We're warmongers. We have, you know, we're reckless. We're dangerous. Donald Trump is a president, so we're kind of brash. Everyone's attached to all this technology. Like, we're getting sucked into technology. There's just I don't know. Every branch of the dystopian fiction is kind of coming to real life in you know, in the world that we live in right now. It's pretty cool. And human interaction is doomed, I think, but there could be some positive side effects to that in the short term.
I mean, we got Skype, so like you and I are able to talk. So
Right, we're
that's good.
3,000 miles away from each other. We can talk to an arena full of people on the internet right now. What do we have? 5 million viewers, 4 million, yeah.
Right?
So
Has it gone down to that many?
Yeah, we're only at 4 million right now. But it's crazy. How can ideas have never been spread at a faster pace than we have right now? That's the point, I guess, of my whole thing about people finding the truth. I don't think people are going to be able to resist the truth anymore when information is so readily available and they're so integrated with that information. But anyway, did I miss any questions in chat? Do we got anything else?
Yeah, let's get some commenters if we have the time. I don't know how long we've been on, but
let's see. Sean says
Cut's been really quiet tonight.
Cut has been quiet. I like it. I like
Different.
it. Yeah.
Different mood. Different atmosphere.
People like to believe what feeds their bias, cognitive dissonance. Yeah, people love conspiracies. They do love conspiracies. It's definitely true. They tend to like what feeds their bias. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I got a point that kind of brings up regarding. It's a good segue into the Anthony Bourdain. Now, Anthony Bourdain, if you guys aren't aware, I'm probably sure you are. He committed suicide by hanging. And what I've seen, because I pay attention to a lot of different media outlets, a lot of independent media guys, I've seen some people say that they're glad that not glad, but they're kind of painting it as like Anthony Bourdain is a social justice warrior. He hated white people, so good riddance type of thing. Because on one of his shows, he said, we don't want white people. He said that if he was going to feed President Trump, if he was going to make a meal for President Trump, he said he'd feed him hemlock. He said that, something along the lines of, if all white people were gone, the world would be a better place, something like that. So people are like the right-wingers, the conservatives.
Suck.
They're kind of latching on to those three particular things that he said. And what I thought, and I haven't really thought this before, but it took the irrational conservatives to create this in my head, and that was, okay, we don't have to demonize somebody because they had a couple bad ideas. Now, if somebody was really, really bad, for example, at math, which everyone knows someone that's really bad at math, you wouldn't talk trash about them after their death, because they were terrible at math. Politics is now just a part of everyone's life, so that not everyone is a politician, okay? I'm not a politician. Danielle's not a politician. Maybe she will be someday, but we're not politicians. Everyone talks about politics, but nobody's a politician. Everyone talks about math in some form. Everyone talks about history, about reading, about technology in some form, but they're not masters of those forms. Just because you're an idiot at one particular topic in life, it's not a reason for us to demonize you for whatever reason. Like, okay, Anthony Bourdain was an idiot when it came to politics. Okay, fine. I get it. That's not the end all be all. Like, that's how you're going to sum up this guy's life. That's how you're going to wrap everything. Like, he's dead. Oh, Anthony Bourdain, this guy that did so much. Now we're just going to say, he said that all white people should be off his show one time. And now, because of that, we're going to say, no, it's fine, I'm good on it. And no more Anthony Bourdain. So just because someone is bad, and this kind of leads back to what Sean said about the bias and feeding their own bias. Just because somebody is bad at something that you have an emotional attachment to, doesn't make them necessarily a bad person. It just makes them an idiot at that topic. They're not necessarily malicious. They don't have bad intent necessarily, but they just have a different perspective, and they're stupid. Okay, they're stupid about those particular things. I wouldn't expect someone to hold up a conversation with me about cybersecurity. I wouldn't expect someone to hold up a conversation with, you, Danielle, about, whatever you're going to school for, political science or, Spanish. Yeah. Like, would you walk up to someone on the street, and then because they can't hold a conversation in Spanish with you, you would call them an idiot and say that, all of your other achievements in life are now invalid because you can't speak Spanish with me because you're bad at one thing?
Absolutely. No, I'm just kidding. Absolutely not. No,
It's
of course
irrational.
not.
Like let's calm down with the irrationality on the right wing. You know, if somebody said that some social justice stuff, it's not necessarily a cause to just completely. We're playing this discrediting game. You know what I mean? Like, oh, they said this. Let's discredit everything they ever did. Let's get their bakery shut down. Yeah, dehumanize them. Get them, demonize them. Just everything. Shut them down any way you can. And it's terrible. It's stupid. And we're playing the wrong game. The conservatives are going to lose at that game because I guarantee you the progressives and the left, they can get upset at a lot more than the conservatives can. So it's not a good path to go down. And I condemn this behavior from the right conservatives who are doing this kind of stuff. It's stupid. Just stop.
I agree as a conservative. So there you have it. No.
Wow.
But do we want to wrap it up, or do we want to take any more comments? How do we want to end this?
Yeah, I've been watching chat for comments. I think we're good. I think we're good to go. We went an hour, which is a lot more than I expected to. No.
Did I look the right way?
Yeah. No, it's your left. Yeah, he's on your left. Yeah.
Anything?
I think I can. My screen is a little overlapping, so I can actually kind of like reach up here. Anyway.
Well, that I can like look down on people that I dislike, like Adam Kokesh. Last week I was like, nah, but
we don't want to talk about Adam Kokesh. Anyway, if you guys want to check us out, you want to see the interview with Adam Kokesh, crazy, far.
Really fun.
I don't mean crazy like insane. I mean he's like far end of the libertarian spectrum. Go check him out. Check him out on YouTube, youtube.com/degree45. Our episodes are going to be on there as well as Facebook. We have some guests lined up for next week. Hopefully Cut can make it. And we'll be a full crew next week. And yeah.
Reunited, and it feels so good. All right.
Exactly. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out, guys. Hope you have a good rest of your Sunday. We'll see you next week. 7:45 p.m. PST. Degree45.com. No, not yet. We don't have degree45.com. Facebook.com/degree45.
Let's make that.
That's in the works. Yeah, it's coming.